And welcome to the show. I'm Joe Concha, joined by always my co-host and future investor in a tremendous idea I have for a sports bar in Jersey, Rick Unger.
Not another sports bar in Jersey.
This one's called Props, and it's going to be tremendous. We'll talk about it after the show. Also, she is the president of the DeMarco Murray Philadelphia Eagles fan club. Apparently, the Cowboys running back heading to the city of brotherly love. Heather Hansen is here. And finally, he is a rabbi, author, TV personality, Newsmax.com contributor, editor to thewisdomdaily.com, and former president of JDate. Wow, Bradley Hirschfield is here.
Not true, but good.
Okay, well,
it's okay. It's a promotion. I can cook.
You can cook.
That's true.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Daily Download. And shots rang out again last night in Ferguson, Missouri. This time, 2 police officers standing outside the Ferguson Police Department were targeted while activists protested outside in the street. One officer was shot in the face, the other one in the shoulder. But amazingly, both officers survived the shooting. Here is St. Louis County Police Chief John Belmar.
Ladies and gentlemen, we were very close to having happened what happened in NYPD with Officer Ramus and Officer Liu. We could have buried 2 police officers next week over this. I feel very confident that whoever did this was there for the wrong reason, not the right reason, and came there for whatever nefarious reason it was. But I do feel like there was an unfortunate association with that gathering.
Video of the shooting was caught at the scene, and the commentary afterwards is, well, disturbing, to say the least.
Acknowledgement 9 months ago would have kept that from happening.
Unreal. Reports say the gunman was a little over 100 yards away from the officers. This clearly was an execution attempt. Rabbi, I want to start off with you. Obviously, the Ferguson community is still very angry, but 2 wrongs can't make a right here.
More than that, those words are almost more chilling than the shooting. 9 months ago, some understanding this wouldn't have happened. That's the thinking of a terrorist. I don't care what kind of terrorist. It's always the same. If you would just do what I want, I wouldn't have to murder you. I wouldn't try to murder you. That's what we're dealing with. So whether it's 1 person or 10 people or 100 people, and I do think it's smaller, it doesn't matter. It's too many, and it's got to be dealt with. That's terrorist thinking, pure and simple.
Heather.
You know, 40 to 70 officers are killed, deliberately killed, a year for the past 20 years. The number 1 reason was during an arrest. Number 2 was ambush. And with the number of ambushes that we've seen this year, 4 already for sure, I wouldn't be surprised if you start to see those numbers equal out. There's got to be something better. There's got to be.
Rick.
Well, look, you know, we have to first point out just how fortunate these 2 police officers are. They're actually home from the hospital already, and considering that they just as easily could have been dead today than going home, you know, they were blessed, and we're all happy for them and their families. Look, you know, the one thing we do have to keep in mind, the protesters who were there last night, they were actually there to celebrate more than anything else because of these resignations that have taken place in reaction to the Justice Department brief. So I just want us to be careful to not mix everybody in with this horrible, horrible act that somebody got involved with.
I wonder, Heather, what the goal of the protesters is. In other words, there have been 6 resignations or firings since this is happening.
Right.
Do they want the whole police department disbanded, like Eric Holder has suggested?
That's what they've been saying. That's what they've been saying. But I don't think, I don't think the protesters were necessarily there to celebrate. Some of them may have been, but others were playing cat and mouse games with different people trying to drive by. They're hurting their own community. Those police officers are there to protect the community so that people can go to work and earn money and create a better community
Except
there.
to be fair, that really wasn't the case with a lot of those police officers based on the report we saw.
Last night?
They should be there. Well, I'm not saying, I'm talking about the Ferguson police in general
Last night.
and the tricks they were playing. But also keep in mind, it wasn't just last night. We all went away. The media disappeared. But they've been doing this every night for over 200 days now.
Right.
So it was not some special regathering.
Some of them.
No, so I think that's really the key. is that if they really are serious, that it is about a problem that has to be dealt with and not about trying to murder cops.
Well, of course.
I get it. So Black Lives Matter. Now let's see a protest in which 3 messages are sent together.
I'm-
Black
you
Lives
bet.
Matter, cops' lives matter,
bet.
all lives
lives
matter.
matter.
That's it.
Blue Lives
We'd
Matter
love to
was
see that happen tonight.
But
Wonder if it
we
will.
better. If not,
Yeah,
then I'm going
I-
to have to go check my original claim that this isn't a deeper kind of anger that spreads much further than I think we want to believe.
Let's get the media reaction right now. Obviously, the shooting led all the network and cable news shows, including Morning Joe on MSNBC, which had this very important question for the Reverend Al Sharpton, who's also a host on that network, about the shootings last night.
Well, you know, this has got to be terribly frustrating for you and a lot of people that have protested there peacefully for this long, especially on a night that should have been a night of celebration.
No doubt about it. You know, just hours before, the attorney for the family of Michael Brown, Benjamin Crump, was on Politics Nation with me in Chicago. And we were saying how the protests and all helped to lead to a climate where the Justice Department would come in the first place. There wouldn't have been an investigation.
Heather, your reaction?
You know, one of the things that he said in that interview is that he talked about how African Americans have to worry about, they just don't know who they're dealing with. If someone is chanting, like in the video that we've seen and talked about, you just don't know who you're dealing with. Don't police have to deal with the same thing? And shouldn't they find that as a common source of something that they have in common? Police just don't know what they're dealing with. And in fact, they might be dealing with someone who's about to kill them. So it's something that instead of looking at our differences, they need to start looking, and people like Al Sharpton need to start pointing out our similarities so that we can start to come together, because as long as you keep pointing out these differences, this is not going to get better.
Brad.
I think it's exactly right. In fact, later in that conversation, Mark Morial came and spoke from the Urban League, and he said something that's even more chilling. He said, you know, the fact that this happened is a good barometer of how angry people are. And I really wanted to stop saying it's a good barometer of how angry people are. It's a good barometer of how cops' lives are in danger. People have a right to be angry. I'm not naive. Race is an issue. Racism is an issue. But nothing at that moment justifies anything other than focusing on the attempted murder of those 2 officers.
Rick,
Yeah,
final,
what
final word,
made it
15
so
seconds.
awkward is the clip that we just saw was how they led off the segment. And that was odd. You would think they would lead off the segment, you know, talking about the police officers, their families, wishing them the best, but we did.
Right.
So that was odd. I agree with you about Morell's statement. That was very peculiar. But the only thing I want to throw in, just to keep it balanced, everybody has to be, you know, treated right.
And that'll be our final word on that. Hillary Clinton's emails still getting some more backlash. This is Daily Wrap, only on Newsmax TV. And welcome back to the show. I'm Joe Concha, along with my co-host, Rick Unger. And we're joined by Heather Hansen and Brad Hirschfield as well. All-star lineup tonight. Backlash against former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server just continues to grow. Here's Daily Show lame duck host Jon Stewart, who will never be accused of being a conservative.
I thought it would be easier to carry just one device for my work and for my personal emails instead of 2.
2 devices is a total hassle. I mean, it'd be like, let's say you wanted to enjoy, like, let's say a delicious sundae. And then you're like, oh no, my BlackBerry. Oh, wait, I'm getting another call. Hold on, I just wait. Hold on, I do that. Oh no.
John recognizes the little problem with that answer.
You know, an iPad, a mini iPad, an iPhone, and a BlackBerry.
A Sidekick, a Vita, a Zune, Nintendo Power Glove, can with 2 strings, fax machine, Tamagotchi, and a burner phone. I just snapped that in half, tossed it in the Chesapeake. I've said too much.
The stuff obviously writing itself, and by this point, Hillary supporters probably not too happy. Mr. Stewart continues.
I have no doubt that we've done exactly what we should have done.
And I have no doubt that you have no doubt. And maybe you did hand over everything you were supposed to. But when we all agree to do things a certain way, and you do it in a different way, it looks weird. It's like we all agreed to recycle the blue cans and the green cans. But you go, got it, blue and green. And we say, so you're going to put them in the cans. And you go, no, but I'll take care of it. And then we think, just put it in the green can! How hard is it? No, it's okay. I got the glass. I'm doing it in my house. It's okay.
Finally, the host gives a little advice to the former First Lady.
So just for funsies, why don't you let somebody who doesn't work for you look through those personal emails just to see if you missed anything?
Clinton said that after she went and organized her emails, determining which ones were official business to be sent over to the State Department and which ones were personal, that she deleted about 30,000 emails that she determined to be purely personal.
What the f***?
I didn't see any reason to keep them.
And welcome back.
And Stewart brought her home by saying that deleting 30,000 emails is a much bigger inconvenience than carrying 2 cell phones, and Hillary is now becoming a punchline. Check out this outstanding prank by a Clinton neighbor in Chappaqua. Well, look at that. That's a for sale sign on the Clintons' front lawn. And yes, if you want a used email server with a clean hard drive, mind you, there is one. You just got to go inside, and you have to see Bill. That is apparently the way that's going to work. So, Heather, life certainly not getting any easier for the former Secretary of State.
You know what? I think it's going to get a whole lot worse, because right now they're talking about when she left the State Department, she signed off on a form that said that she had returned all papers that she was supposed to return. If she signed that and it was untrue, that's a felony. So now you've got the possibility of a criminal subpoena to get that server, to get all of those documents. You also have the possibility of a civil subpoena because of the AP lawsuit that we talked about yesterday that's looking for a lot of these documents.
Can you remind the audience what that
Right now, the AP has sued the State Department to get all of the documents that they had requested back in 2010 and 2013 with regard to a whole bunch of different issues, totally separate from the things that her attorneys claim they searched for the current request. So now you've got the possibility of a criminal subpoena, the possibility of a civil subpoena, and the possibility of 2 congressional subpoenas for the Benghazi group, and then also from the House Select Committee. So you've got so many different angles coming at Hillary to get that server. I will be shocked if we don't somehow see what's in there.
Interesting. Brad.
The funny thing is, may surprise you, I believe her, and that's what's really scary. When she says, I think I did the right thing, that's the biggest problem of all. I think she's utterly convinced that when those cans go out, no, recycling doesn't apply to me. It's a great idea. I think she was sincere when she fired 2 staffers for doing what she did. That's the troubling part. I think she's lost the thread that says, at some level, we're all bound by the same rules, or the rules don't matter. And she's lost that thread, and that's not a political issue. That's a larger issue, and I don't know how you stay out of trouble if you actually do forget, really, the law does apply to you like the rest of us. I know we're not Clintons, but the law still applies to them.
Rick, is this resonating outside the bubble? We know the argument, right, that Republicans don't like Hillary, they'll never vote for her, and Democrats, well, I think her support is a little softer than people give it credit for because we saw them abandon her in 2008 for President Obama. All that being said, is this resonating with the independents?
First of all, who cares about Hillary? Can you believe we're going to have to live without Jon Stewart?
That's a tragedy.
I don't know how we're going to do that.
That
Now, as to Hillary, look, this is where opponents go wrong. Hillary is not going to be charged with any felonies. She's going to get some subpoenas like this is the first time that's ever happened to a Clinton. She'll be just fine. You asked the relevant question, which is it registering with voters? The answer is, as you said, those 40% who would not vote for Hillary if she were the last candidate on earth will still not vote for her. That roughly 38% who will go to their grave for Hillary even if she ended up marrying Hitler and divorcing Bill, will still vote for her. The issue will be in the spread there. And as I talk to those who I think fall on the spread, they're all kind of shrugging their shoulders. They have a sense that she did something that probably was not on the up and up, but it's not going to be what decides the next election, folks.
You know, we've done this show for about a month now, and I've gotten to know you pretty well, and I think you're in that spread. I don't think you're an independent thinker. You're a pragmatic guy. Do you support her with this, or is this already what we already know about the Clintons?
Here's what everybody forgets, and it's critically important to remember. In this country, rarely do we have an election where you vote for somebody you like. You vote for the person that you dislike the least.
Right.
Now, I think with Obama, the first time around, it was a little different. Right. But other than that, it's who do you dislike the least? Well, you look how it breaks down. And those who are, they don't love Hillary, they don't, it's not who they dreamed of. Maybe they like a woman as president, but it's not even going to be about that. if they don't want to vote for who the Republicans nominate, they'll vote for Hillary.
They're gonna, but it's about trust as well. It's going to be about trust.
To you it is, because you're and me, we're all
I
in the
think for
bubble.
that small percentage on the bubbles, how elections are decided, though, that small percentage is about trust, and those are the people.
No, it's really not about trust.
It is for me. It is for me.
Well, it may be for you, but for that person you're talking about, it's about the economy, and maybe in the next election it'll be about foreign policy.
And we'll have to end it there. My personal small opinion is that shavings make a pile, and when these things keep piling up, maybe that's enough to sway an election where there's no margin for error, particularly in Virginia, Ohio, Florida, New Hampshire. Coming up next, a new study shows Americans are not too confident with our government. Are you? This is the Daily Wrap, only on Newsmax TV.